Hi, I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections, and today's topic is inspecting permanent wood foundations. So permanent wood foundations, also known as PWFs, are not very common here in the Twin Cities. We do have our share of them, and my company, Structure Tech, does inspections on them probably about 1 to 2 times per month. We get a lot of requests to do them because of my blog, and because of all the requests, we have developed a method for inspecting these wood foundations. And we've got one guy at our company, George Urey, who does pretty much all of the wood foundation inspections. It used to be me, but it got to the point where I didn't have time to do them anymore, and I trained George to do it. And at this point, he surely knows 10 times more about these foundations than I do. But I'm the guy who blogs, so that's why I'm sharing information about them with you right now. So I learned all about these when I attended a seminar taught by this guy named Roscoe Clark back probably 10 years ago. This was over a decade ago. And it was a full 8-hour seminar just on wood foundations. And I can't remember if he installed them or he sold them or he trained people to install them, but he was an expert on them. And he sold us all on how great they are. I mean, he was a big proponent of installing these systems, but he also scared the heck out of us because he showed us all these ways that they can go wrong. And I'll never forget another inspector who was at that seminar with me. His name was Tom. He said to me, "Ruben, I've always been scared as heck of these things, but now I'm downright terrified," or something to that effect. The point was, we learned a lot about how many ways these systems can go wrong. And the number one problem with wood foundations is water management. That's the thing that goes wrong over and over again. These things are basically built on a huge drain field. I mean, there is rock and backfill, and there's plastic on the outside, and you got this sump crock underneath the house, and there's so many different layers to help keep water away. So if water does reach the foundation and you can actually see signs of water intrusion on the inside of the home, it means that things have gone wrong in many different places to lead to that condition. So that's why water in these homes is a big deal. What I look for as a home inspector is proper water management at the outside. That's probably the biggest thing. And it's all the same stuff that we look for on any other home, but on a permanent wood foundation, it's way more important. So we're looking for gutters. Every wood foundation home needs to have a full system of gutters. We're looking for downspout extensions. What's the only thing that's worse than no gutters? Gutters with short or missing or improper downspout extensions. That means you take all that water that would be dispersed along the edge of the roof and you concentrate it right to one spot and you dump it against the foundation. That's really bad news. So good downspout extensions, and then good slope on the ground away from the home. Whether it's dirt or hard surfaces like concrete or patios, all of that needs to slope away from the house to make sure that water doesn't just sit there. That's some of the most critical stuff. There's more to it than just that. You can visit our blog. You can go to structuretech.com and search for wood foundations, and I'll have a few more tips and some more photos about stuff that we look for. But really, it's all about getting the water away. So that's what we look for on the outside. Now on the inside, what we do for our specialized water intrusion inspections is we start by sending out a permission slip to the homeowner. For these inspections, they are considered intrusive inspections. We are changing the home a little bit. We got to cut some test holes, and the seller needs to give us permission to do these. If they won't give us permission, we don't do the inspection. Plain and simple. But for the inspection themselves, we will go around the inside of the home and we'll focus on the areas that are going to fail first, the areas that seem to have the worst water management at the outside. And if it's unfinished, well, that's a piece of cake. We'll pull back some of the poly sheeting and we'll lift up some of the insulation, and we'll just take a look at what the wood looks like and make sure there's no signs of water. If there is water, like I said, you have a failed water management system. If it's all finished, and just about all of the wood foundation homes do have completely finished basements, in that case, we need to go around and we'll pull back some baseboard trim, or we'll remove the trim, and we'll stick our moisture probes. We have deep wall probes, and we'll stick those underneath the wall to get a moisture reading of the sheathing against the back wall. Typically, in one or two, maybe a few locations, we'll also cut small holes in the drywall that will later be covered up by the baseboard trim. We'll cut some small holes and we'll lift the insulation up, and we'll actually view the foundation wall. Because it's one thing to stick a moisture probe inside the wall and show somebody, here's the reading on my gadget, here's what it says it's wet. And people will dispute that and say, no, it's broken, you're hitting metal, yada yada. But if we can actually make a little hole in the wall, lift up the insulation, show people the insulation's wet, take pictures of the foundation wall that's stained and wet, that's much more conclusive evidence. And so if we're calling out a wet wall, we're not going to get anybody arguing with us, and our clients will be sure that the results are accurate. Now, I distinctly remember one situation where I was doing one of these inspections, and I had I don't know, it was a mold expert or somebody like that who was hired by somebody else to go along with me at the same time. And I remember him chatting up the buyers and saying, you can figure this all out with your nose. If it doesn't smell moldy, it's not moldy. And I'll tell you, on wood foundations, they really never do smell moldy. What you end up smelling, once you pull back that baseboard trim and you get your nose down in there, what you smell is an earthy smell. It smells like dirt. That's a good indication that you've had water in there. So that is our process. And then when we do find signs of water, we document it, and we recommend getting a wood foundation specialist out there to come up with a solution to make sure that water doesn't get in there anymore, and probably to do a further inspection. But yeah, that's my little tips and tricks for what we do when we come across a permanent wood foundation. And if you're purchasing one, I would strongly advise you to either work with a home inspector who has some good experience and can do this type of inspection for you, or hire someone in addition to your normal home inspector who can do a more specialized inspection like this. Work with someone who knows about them, because last thing you want is get stuck with a moisture problem that you didn't know about when you bought the house. All right, I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections. Thanks for watching. Take care.